What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about EDC utility knives and specifically which ones actually make sense to carry every day. Utility knives are one of the most practical EDC tools you can own. Cheap blades, no sharpening, no stress about beating them up. But not all utility knives are created equal. Some are great, some are annoying, and some just make you wonder why they exist at all. These are all utility knives I've personally owned and carried, listed in the exact order I got them, and ranked based on real-world use. Let's start at the beginning. This is where most people start, the classic generic box cutter that can be found at any hardware store for under $3. It works. That's about the nicest thing I can say about it. It cuts boxes, tape, plastic, and that's it. No pocket clip, no real ergonomics, usually cheap plastic or thin metal, and it absolutely sucks to carry in a pocket. It either prints horribly or digs into your leg, and half the time the blade play is terrible. Swapping blades also takes time with this model, as you have to disassemble the entire unit to access the blade. This is a tool that lives in a junk drawer, a toolbox, or at a warehouse. It's not something I would ever find myself carrying on my person. But if you just need something around the house, fine. But for EDC, this is the baseline, and everything else from here improves in some way. Next up is the Pittsburgh Utility knife from everyone's favorite cheap tool seller, Harbor Freight. Compared to the one before it, this one feels like a world away. We raise our budget by a few dollars, and what do we get in return? This one at least tries. The pocket clip makes it actually carryable, and that alone puts it above that generic box cutter. This also features a thumb stud that you might see on a standard folder and allows it to be opened one-handed. It doesn't have the same action like you might expect, but one-hand opening is such a game changer. This also features a back lock, so this won't close on your hand and you have a little bit more safety in mind. This also features a quicker way to slop the blade with this little tab here. Overall, this is such a huge improvement and really opened my eyes to what a utility knife could be. That said, this still feels cheap and leaves so much room for improvement. The clip is tight, the handle is small and heavy, and the overall experience just feels disposable. But it is usable. It'll get the job done. But it feels like something you'll grab because it's cheap and available, not because you enjoy carrying it. For the price, it's okay, but for EDC, it still leaves a lot to be desired. This is where things start to get pretty interesting. We again increase our budget by a few dollars, but still firmly under the $10 mark. And in return, we get something that feels so much more similar to a standard folding knife. This Kobalt adds a button release for the blade, which actually makes deployment faster. Still not great, but at least faster. And it's actually more fun to use. It is by no means smooth or fidgety, as you could see, but it still feels more thought out than the Pittsburgh and definitely more EDC focused. The pocket clip, though not deep carry, is much better, and the body feels more solid and increases the grip with this textured handle. And it starts to feel like a tool you can intentionally carry every day. This also brings a new feature in the seatbelt/rope cutter, as it keeps the blade exposed a bit in the handle. That said, this still doesn't feel premium. The button mechanism works, but it doesn't really feel refined. The blade doesn't drop shut, and even though it can be opened one-handed, you often need a second hand to help it close. Still, this was a big step up for me and the first utility knife I carried that actually felt like it belonged in an EDC rotation. Gerber is a known name, and this utility knife reflects that. Though this one is the smallest one up to this point, it somehow feels the best in hand from a quality standpoint. This should be expected, as this one increases a few more dollars and sits around the $13 mark. This one feels more durable and more purpose-built for carry than earlier options. The materials feel better, the tolerances are tighter, and it carries the best due to this wide, deep carry pocket clip. This features a liner lock, so again, something we're all very familiar with in the world of folders and feels pretty solid for its size. It carries well, it works consistently, and it feels like a real tool instead of a novelty or a budget option. The downside for this guy is it still leans towards more tool than EDC. It doesn't feature thumb studs or any mechanism for one-hand opening, and its handle shape and size leads it to be a little bit uncomfortable in hand, allowing only a 3-finger grip, and it lacks any other functions or features. Still, if you want something dependable from a recognized brand, this is a solid option and a clear step up from the budget knives before it. The next blade up is actually a few bucks cheaper than the last, as this one is only $9, and this one actually surprised me. The Screwpop is tiny, minimal, and completely different from everything else on this list. It's basically a bare bones utility blade holder designed to be as compact as possible. What I really like about it is how easy it is to carry. It disappears in the pocket, works great on a keychain, and is always there when you need it. It has a small lever to deploy the blade and a magnet to pull the blade back when not in use. This also features a really small bottle opener near the mouth of the blade. For something this small and compact, it works really great. I found it worked best for me adding a small lanyard and dropping it in the pocket. What I don't love about it is the grip. For light tasks, it's perfect, but for anything more demanding, it's not super comfortable, it doesn't give you much control, and you might slip up on the blade. This is a great secondary blade or minimalist option. It's not replacing a full-size knife, but as a backup or an ultralight carry, it's fantastic. Surprisingly enough, again dropping down on our budget, this time just around $6, we have Walmart's Hart 4-in-1 pocket tool utility knife. And this is where we're starting to get somewhere. The Hart has a slide mechanism really similar to what you would see from the big Idea Design TPT slide. Though it doesn't feature much of a cutting edge, it feels solid and smooth. The metal body feels strong and it carries extremely well due to the small deep carry pocket clip. This adds a few functions as it features a bottle opener at the front, a small bit driver, and finally some small measurements on the body. This one balances tool and EDC better than anything before it. Despite its small size, it's comfortable to use and even features jimping to prevent any slippage. It's comfortable to carry and feels like something designed by people who actually use their gear, mainly because this is a very similar knockoff to the TPT slide I mentioned before. Blade changes are simple with this button right here. The slide is smooth and it just works without drawing attention to itself. For a while, this was one of my favorite utility knife designs, until I got my hands on the next one. To the surprise of no one, this one is the top of the list for me. The Kizer drop bear utility knife takes everything I like about a traditional folding knife and combines it with the practical utility of a utility knife. It feels like a real knife because it is one. It keeps the same handle and great ergonomics of the Kizer drop bear and just replaces the blade with the utility knife holder. It has solid construction, insanely smooth action, and excellent fit and finish. If you're already a knife person, this one immediately feels familiar. The blade change system is well executed, and the lockup feels secure, and it's actually enjoyable to use for extended cutting tasks as it features a small ramp on the spine along with tons of jimping. This is the first utility knife I carried that truly replaces a folding knife without feeling like a compromise anywhere. This is kind of like a cop-out, as the famous drop bear profile is now just swapped to a utility knife, but it's so genius because it works so well. This also adds a few functions as it comes with a small pair of metal tweezers and a metal toothpick in the back of the handle. It's a bit gimmicky for me, but they're so non-intrusive, I don't mind it. Yes, it's most expensive, and it's the most expensive by far, as this is around the $40 mark. But you're paying for quality, comfort, and a design that actually respects knife people. For me, this is the best EDC utility knife I've owned, and it's hard to find something that performs better than this. Utility knives are one of the most underrated EDC tools out there. Cheap blades, no sharpening, and zero guilt about hard use. But as you've seen, the experiences vary wildly depending on the design. If you just need something cheap, a box cutter works. If you want something minimalist, the Screwpop is awesome. If you want the best overall experience, the Kizer drop bear is hard to beat. Let me know in the comments what utility knife you're carrying, if there's one I should check out next. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.